Yeah, I'm horrible at this, Danny. I forget.
We're live.
We are, yes. Good morning. Welcome to the morning show, presented to you by ATV-TALK, a motorsports podcast. Special thanks go out to GBC Tires. If you're looking tires for your ATV, UTV, or truck, get a hold of GBC. They'll take care of you. Elka Suspension, the leader in ATV suspension. They're into UTVs. They're also getting into trucks and other forms of off-roading or snowmobiles, things like that. So check out Elka Suspension. And DBR Racing makes products for your YFCR, your Raptor 125 and 250, and many other models. So you can go check their product out on their website. I'm your host, Leonard Duncan, and Danny Ray Duncan is my co today. How are you, Danny?
Fantastic. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm great, man. It's good to have you back. You've been a little busy with things going on in your life with travel, and then you had some stuff going on with the wife and kids last show, but it's good to have you back.
Yes, it's good to be back. Yep, the wife and kids got a summer cold. The season's already changing here in Idaho, it looks like. We had a gnarly thunderstorm, lost power for a little bit last night, and it's supposed to get thunder and lightning for the next week or so, I guess.
Well, it's raining pretty hard over in the UK as well. The MotoGP race is underwater, but yeah, it's sunny and bright and beautiful down here in Southern California. So that's why we live here. Other than
you mean hot. Communist California? I mean,
yeah, let's not go there. But we can have that discussion,
Yeah.
Next weekend we're heading into the final round of the ATV motocross series. The champion's been picked, which I'm sure you're aware of. Joel won the title, and there's many of the other titles that are going to be figured out at Loretta's. I think it's going to be an amazing race weekend to watch and get some feedback from those people. Pro Sport, Pro Am, the WMX. Kinsey Osborne won her second in a row. So a lot of cool stuff going on in the motocross world.
Are they going to?
It seems like it went quick.
Say that?
Seems like the season just went super fast.
Yeah, we'll have a race report. Yeah, we'll have a race report for Loretta's as well with Max Lindquist and anybody else that'll join in. I'm sure that's going to be a big deal. And yeah, the race season did go by pretty fast. You know what's done it for me is we started these race reports, the pre-races and then the other race reports. And my gosh, they stack up, especially when the races are on the same weekend and you do two at once, or we did one where we did three. And that causes the race season to go by twice as fast. Plus, with the growth of our YouTube channel, the channel we're on right now, that's for us, that's great. I know that it's new for a lot of people, but our audio following is still growing. And then the fact that YouTube is growing the way it is, we're pretty happy, I mean, I don't think you see the numbers, but we have them all over here, and Valeria and I talk about it every day. So
yeah, I don't get to be a part of that conversation too often, but
well, dude, you're busy doing your thing. I mean, you got 3 kids and a wife and 2 jobs.
Yeah. If you count this, 3.
Well, yeah. So you got some stuff going on there, buddy. So we had in the last show, we had a big conversation about the safety in the ATV industry, or the safety numbers that they're publishing in the ATV industry and what they publish in other industries. Joe Tully and I got a little aggressive in our conversation with that, because it hits so close to home for us with the things that they're saying about the ATV world. And most of the numbers, if you do the research yourself, are not correct. They're they're manipulated in only the way these people can do that kind of stuff. But it's just like when you look into the injuries in the horse related area, they never give you an exact number. They give you percentages, where they give you a rough count in the ATV world, and it doesn't, it doesn't calculate. You have to figure it out on your own for some of these things. And, that it's just the manipulation of money, the people with money doing things that aren't exactly great. I don't know if you listened to that show or did any of the number checks on your own while you were off.
I did not. I will say that working at a trauma facility for as long as I had, we didn't get a ton of ATV stuff. We got quite a few UTVs and a lot of snowmobiles, a lot more snowmobiles than we ever did ATVs. I think that if you're going to do anything, you should do stuff based on percentages, because per capita is really what matters. When you look at other statistics, you have to look at everybody looks at per capita, meaning how many people are doing it and what percentage of those people get hurt. That's just how you have to do it. If you just throw out numbers out there, then it can look really bad because you don't know how many people are doing it. You take a lineup of 20 guys, let's just say that, because that's what a normal pro gate is, and 3 of them get hurt. Well, all you hear is, 3 guys got hurt. Well, that is, 15% of the gate, but that's a small gate. You take the whole weekend and say 3 people got hurt and there was 600 riders. 3 people getting hurt is 0.5%.
Right.
So, or maybe less than 0.5%.
I get it. They say in equestrian that 81% of the people that do it get hurt, but they don't tell you how many people that is. But 81% is freaking a lot.
What is that?
That's where you're riding the horses in the ring with obstacles that you're riding over.
Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
81% of those people get hurt, in that environment, and you don't get an exact number, which is very high, I'm assuming. That smokes the amount of people that are getting hurt on ATVs. But
yes, but you have to take into consideration. I'm not trying to play devil's advocate. I'm not trying to knock ATVs or anything, but you have to take into consideration what are the levels of those injuries. Falling off of a 6-foot, 7-foot horse, however tall they are, at 5 miles an hour is a lot less of an impact than falling off of a quad at 50 miles an hour.
The injury base for the horses, just because you haven't done the research, is head and neck injuries.
Okay.
Where ATVs, it's varying throughout, from legs, arms, collarbones, head and neck as well. I'm not saying you can't get hurt on an ATV. I'm just saying that the numbers are skewed, and it's a not a good thing. I want to transition out of that conversation because I didn't mean for us to get into a big discussion about it. I was mainly wanting to know if you would. Well, it was perfect that you work in a trauma center and you get to see these things firsthand. Yes, it's horrible to see young people get injured on ATVs, horses, UTVs, or snowmobiles. But I just get upset that the Consumer Protection Agency has got involved with 3-wheelers and ATVs. They need to stay out of it and go, stop the faulty toys that children are choking on and get out of our industry, because it's
you can get a whole new conversation for that. Parents should be watching their kids too and not letting them play with those toys without supervision, just like the whole marble thing. That's a number 1 cause of lung collapse in pediatric patients, is a marble being inhaled, blocking off the right main stem of the lung, collapsing it. That wouldn't happen if the parent was watching. Not saying you can keep your eye on your kids 100% of the time. I'm just saying,
who's the responsible party in an ATV deal? The
Yeah.
person that either put the young child on it or the person that threw their leg over it. It's your fault.
Yeah.
Don't sue. Stop suing the manufacturers. It's because you chose to do it.
I don't disagree. One more point with that. I think that if we eliminated some of, this is not the racing industry. I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying for recreational people either. It's everybody. But the number of patients, I've never looked at a study, but the number of patients from my personal experience that are drunk when they have these accidents, when they're on their ATVs, UTVs, and snowmobiles and dirt bikes and all that stuff are pretty high. Most of these people are drunk when they're doing it. You can't
responsibility, man.
You can't do that. You can't blame the ATV for you getting drunk and riding it.
Exactly. Same with getting behind the wheel of your car. But we're gonna move on. Valeria has a study that we put out on our Facebook group. She's gonna read the study for us, and then we're gonna talk about it because it's pertaining to manufacturers. So Valeria, you take the floor.
Well, I didn't know it was a study. I thought it was just a question that you asked on the group.
Well, it was a question, but we are trying to get some information, which we're going to get into this conversation deeply here in a minute, but go right ahead.
Okay. We're looking to see what manufacturers would you like to see making new sports quads. Let us know what you think.
So we put that out on our Facebook group, and I know that you're not a social media guy because of your own personal beliefs, and I'm not. We're not talking about that. But in this question, multiple people answered about the manufacturers they'd like to see and some of the machines they'd like. Honda definitely was on the list. We can go ahead.
We have a new 450 would be nice.
A new 450. Could you catch that, Danny?
Honda. Yeah.
Kawi or Can-Am?
Yeah, Kawasaki or Can-Am. I have information on all of them, so whenever you want me to fire away, Valeria, I will.
Let's just name a few that they said. So you said Honda, Suzuki, KTM, Kawi.
They talked about Gas Husky, making a sport quad.
So I guess that's the four contenders.
One of the questions was about bringing back the Gas Suzuki KTM using a 690 platform to compete with the Raptor 700. I believe that's in the recreational environment. So that being said, that 690 platform isn't the motor I would use from them, but because it's older, if they brought a different style motor in, it'd be great. But what I'm trying to start with the conversation is the involvement. If a manufacturer is going to come out with a new bike, we as an industry have to support them.
Yeah, I think that I agree. The KTM that they came out with, I got to race it. I got to ride it. I did really, really well at Ridgecrest on the thing. At a big 6 race. I really liked that bike. I really liked that platform. I thought I rode it completely stock with an exhaust and a twist throttle. I think I had a GPR on it. That was it. Stock Olin shocks, the whole 9 yards. Everything was stock on the thing. And I finished 3rd overall, right behind Robin Fawcett, who got 2nd in the pro class. So
should we tell everybody now about your mental illness?
About my mental illness?
Yeah, I mean, anybody that likes KTMs.
Oh, stop. But for a stock bike, I mean, I did it for a stock bike going up against most of those kids had fully built 450s. KTM had just came out with that bike. You built an exhaust for it, and we went out and we rode the thing, and we had a lot of fun. And I enjoyed that bike a lot. The Polaris came out at the same time. I didn't like the Polaris at all whatsoever. Similar platform, but the Polaris just didn't do well. I didn't like the Cowie. You already know how I feel about the Cowie, but I don't want to bash. I lost because of the Polaris and Cowies, I lost races because of them. Electrical issues, you name it. Fuel pump issues with the Cowie. I think that if Husky, Gas, and KTM came out with a production 450, that would be very interesting.
Right. Go ahead, Valeria.
So currently, what manufacturers are making sport
Yamaha.
quads?
Yamaha makes sport quads.
That's
They
it?
make a
Does Can-Am still make them?
Can-Am doesn't make anything. Kawasaki doesn't make anything. Honda obviously doesn't make anything.
Suzuki stopped.
Honda may make like a 250 X shaft drive and I think they may make a 400X, which is the EX.
Yeah.
But they may have stopped those as well. Kawasaki doesn't do anything. Can-Am doesn't do anything. Suzuki definitely doesn't do anything. Just so everybody will get off the Suzuki kick. Suzuki's probably never coming back because they make little small cars that they sell all over the world, and they're kicking butt in that market. And I don't think that they're going to come back to the motorcycle ATV world. Ken Roxon's riding a bike that was designed 9 years ago. And I just don't see them coming back. As far as Honda goes, the crushing information that I've gotten in the last couple of weeks, they're probably not coming back either. So you're relying on Kawasaki, Can-Am. Go ahead, Valeria.
KTM, Husky.
When did Honda and Kawasaki stop making sports quads?
Honda stopped making the Sport 450 in 2014, and Kawasaki stopped making theirs in
11, I think, or 12.
11? Yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yamaha. So during the three-wheeler era, when Honda went through their 10 years where they couldn't make anything because of three-wheelers, which was a total bogus thing, Honda came out with the 400EX, but Yamaha kept selling the Banshee, the Blaster. They stopped selling the Tri-Z and the Tri-Moto. So Yamaha has been carrying our industry. Honda gets a lot of credit because Honda was the bigger 250R three-wheeler guys. They were the forefront of the industry when Kawasaki and Yamaha built nice machines for what they were, but didn't compare to the Honda ATC 250R. Really, in my opinion, there's people out there that'll disagree with me, and that's okay. And then the TRX 250R 4-track came out, which are still today is arguably the greatest quad ever made. It's people love it. I still do. You can build one aftermarket now, but that's the concerning part. Is the rumor mill is that Yamaha is going to pull out, and most of this stems from legal repercussions from the consumers that are buying these machines, not taking personal responsibility and getting injured, or letting their children ride them or drive them, and then they're getting injured. And instead of taking their own responsibility for it, they're suing the manufacturers. So this is killing us,
I think that's killing the world right now. Everybody's so sue happy. It is. It's so everybody's so sue happy, and you see it everywhere.
I get that. As far as feedback goes, from what I'm hearing, I still hear that there's a new 450 coming.
From Yamaha or who?
What manufacturer? I have no idea. If I were Yamaha, I wouldn't change anything. Why?
Just keep producing it.
Yeah.
They built same with Suzuki. Suzuki built an amazing machine too.
Yeah, I think if Suzuki would just make the same model, maybe with a couple minor upgrades, fix the third gear issue, and produce the same exact machine or pretty close, it would fit right in. And you'd be rolling. I had a great conversation with Mike Walsh from Walsh Racecraft. He built a KTM 300 Woods machine. This is the fuel injected version of the 300 motorcycle they make, that KTM makes, which is an outstanding platform. No, I haven't got to ride one yet, but
Wait, hold on.
Yes,
Say that again.
Yes, I said that.
Hold on. Say the whole phrase. Say the
No, I'm not gonna
KTM
say it all
300 EFI. Please, for me.
No, Mike Walsh already laughed at me about it, so I don't want to hear it. Because everybody knows that I'm not a fan of that manufacturer. But that's neither here nor there. This is supposedly a great platform. I'd love to see a two-stroke pro class brought back. Yes, it'd have to be aftermarket. It'd have to be hybrid, where you could run a KTM 300. You could run a YZ 250 with a big bore in it. You could build your TRX 250R hybrid aftermarket. I mean, I think this would help the aftermarkets, and, you'd have a more diverse class, because you'd have 4 or 5 different manufacturers out there at one time. Granted, you wouldn't be advertising them like you do in the Pro 450 class, but it would still boost
Why not?
the industry. Because they're aftermarket. You're not.
So what?
I don't think that you're going to get KTM to come in and support a team that's using their engine in an ATV that's aftermarket. I just don't see it happening.
If you ask the right questions and ask the right people, presented in the right way, why wouldn't they?
ATM's already stated that they're a motorcycle manufacturer.
Correct, but they also made an ATV, and the problem is that when they made that ATV, it wasn't supported. That's exactly what we're talking about right now. They made those ATVs. Those ATVs were not supported. They tried, and they got crapped on by the industry, if you ask me. And then they pulled out because they weren't supported. They came in to try and help and support.
And they were overpriced and under quality.
I don't think so.
That's your opinion. I work on them for a living. Trust me, they were under quality.
Well, why didn't somebody step in? Why didn't you go to them and be like, hey, let's make this. Let's improve this. I'm
not a pimple on a flea's butt. They don't care. They had great guys that got involved with the KTM. If you look at it, Shane Hitt and
wasn't Mark Baldwin involved?
No, it wasn't Mark Baldwin, but it was Tim Farr and
Yeah.
Shane Hitt were both involved. There might have been some. I think that Adam McGill was involved in it, and they did some work. They had some success racing back in the woods, but I don't believe.
So I'm not trying to shit on any of those guys. I love all of them, but they're not the builders. They're the racers. You got to have, like Suzuki when they came in.
But in their
defense,
on,
let me finish.
Go ahead.
When Suzuki came in, who did they go to? They came to you guys. They came to other people. They went to Doug Roll. They went to Walsh. That's why that machine was as good as it was, because they went to the industry heads, figured out what they could do and improve on from their base platform, changed a few things, and they had a successful machine.
Well, one of the things that helped Suzuki was Wayne Hinson. When Wayne Hinson got involved with that program, it instantly elevated, because Wayne's brilliant, and they headed off any of the negatives they would have as they developed that machine with Doug Gust and a few others. And that machine came out ready to rock and roll, basically, minus a few, flaws that it had, but it was a good machine, and Hinson was right there from the beginning. So you have to pat him on the back, and then the other people that got involved with it as it went on. So let's the Yamaha program, has developed over the years with, the balances and the Wienans.
Chad Wienen.
They've, look at Chad Wienan's success on it, Bill Balance's success with Yamaha. I mean, these guys did an amazing job, with them. Yes, Valeria, you had a question?
Yes. Are you good at math? Because I found a question, and I think it's like something maybe you would know.
What's the question?
So it says, hi all, 2009 YFC 450R with a SIP plus 250 milliliters oil tank fitted started spitting oil out of the breather. After fitting, I'm thinking it's overfilled, and then it says 1.5 US quarts equals 146 something milliliters equals to 250.
So
that's right, isn't it?
So he put an oil tank on the machine.
I think so. I think he thinks it's spilling, but I don't know if
Well,
he's got his math
so
correct.
to answer the question, we're getting off topic, but to answer that question, if he put an oil cooler on it that takes more oil, and the general 450 YFCR takes 1.5 quarts, and if you're 250 milliliters, you have to convert that to ounces, and then add that many ounces. And if it's spitting oil out of it, you check your oil level is the first thing that you're going to do. The second thing you're going to do is do a leak down test on the engine, because you want to make sure that the heart is not injured, because that's how they push oil. The second thing is, what kind of oil catch system does he have? If he's using the stock system, it doesn't return the oil to the engine properly. So that could also be a problem. If you're running a clutch and you don't have enough free play, or if you're running synthetic oil with a stock clutch, you can cause the oil to foam, and it'll push oil that way as well. So those are just rattling off some things that I know, but I don't know if you caught all that, but I don't want to get into that discussion, because there's 100 different keyboard warriors out there that'll think they know something that they don't.
So
I just
back to the topic
with that one, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. That's why I don't do social media right there, because when I did do it, I didn't even post anything about. I just post pictures of bikes, and we found those Yukon gears, and I had some guy threaten me on social media, and I deleted it after that, because he didn't think that the Yukon gears, when there was only like 10 sets left, should be priced what they were at, but you had to buy them at that, and he told me he was going to beat the shit out of me. So anyways, back to the thing.
Well,
why don't you?
I openly put my contact information out for people. If they want to reach out to me and have a discussion, they can. My phone numbers are available. My emails are available. Everybody knows where I work, and I'll stand behind anything I say. If I'm proven wrong, hey, I'll get on here and I'll admit that I'm wrong. But I've been doing this for a long time. You know that, Danny. And I haven't been threatened by people, but yeah, I've had some people that have said some things to me that are out of line. But you know what? I am a big boy. I can handle it. It's not your job or your position to put up with people like that. That's my job. That's what I'm here for,
Yeah.
And so
I haven't
whoever
worked for the
would
shop
threaten
really since I
somebody
was 16. So
yeah, whoever threatens somebody like that, they're just a small, weak person that,
yeah.
it's just a joke. But let's get back on topic. And
Yeah.
that was a good question, Valeria.
Let's get back on topic. Why don't you talk to Walsh, okay, or Doug, or some of these other people in the industry, Uncle Lauren, get together with, Curtis Sparks, Mark Baldwin, Uncle Lauren, Walsh, Roll, yourself, and present something to these manufacturers. Present something to Kawasaki, Suzuki. Hold on, let me finish. Husky. Because if you guys go in as the leaders of this industry, because you guys are the leaders of this industry, and I'm forgetting people, those are the people I named off the top of my head. If you guys go in as the leaders of the industry saying, let us support you, let us help you, let's build the best bike we can, not saying that Yamaha didn't do it right, because they did, and it's not that you're trying to take support from them, but we need more manufacturers. Why don't you guys present something to them with Walsh, with Roll, with all these guys coming together? Yes, you guys can still make aftermarket parts for this, but if we want the industry to continue, then it's going to take collaboration from the leaders of this industry, not just the riders, not just the consumers. It starts at the top. You work from the top down. You show the people how it's done, and that's something you, Uncle Lauren, and these leaders of the ATV industry could 100% go and present and try and do. I'm not saying it would work, but it's worth a shot.
And I think that if you guys did that and then you guys came out and supported that platform, whatever it is, then it would make a difference.
You know, if I was going to make a proposal like that, if we were going to do something like that and got behind it and got everybody involved, the manufacturer I would go to first is KTM.
That's what the first thing on my head too.
Because they have 3 different platforms to choose from, and I hear that there's possibly going to be a 4th. And I know that they don't want to be an ATV company per se, but I bet if you bring them a workable platform, you know, where you're rolling in a machine that has their engine in it, and give them the idea of the best way to manufacture this, you might be able to persuade them to develop. The thing that you have to do, and the thing that we have to do in the industry, is everybody has to, if they came out with it, you're gonna have to buy it. You're going to have to support it, whether you're in the recreational world or in the racing world, because Yamaha sells everything they build. And I'll bet money if you brought another 450 out, even if it was that with the 3 brands, so now you have 4 machines to pick from, basically. I believe that each manufacturer would sell everything they build still, and it would give strength and credibility. We could also start manufacturers' cups in these different series so that your manufacturing would build points towards the end of the year, you know, kind of like F1 does, kind of like MotoGP does, where they're reaching out to Honda, Yamaha, KTM, and Ducati, and all these guys, and, you know, in the motorcycle side of it, and they're getting a trophy at the end of the year, you know, and it's helping fund the factory involvement because they're supporting. I think what's hurting us now is there are political things going on behind the scenes that we're not involved in, and that I don't know if we can get involved in it, that are hurting the industry. You know, the consumer doesn't help us when they go out and do stupid things and then, you know, get lawyers involved. But that's
not all consumers. Make that very clear. It's not all consumers.
There's a
We
small
know.
group of people.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a incident in Arizona a few years back where Arizona racing in Arizona on certain land, mostly the land that's set aside for it, is owned by the state. And when you sue, the state recoils, and what their answer is, hey, we're just not going to do this anymore. So
Yep.
It took a lot of convincing from a lot of people to keep Arizona rolling and open to racing. So there's probably not as much racing in Arizona as you'd like to think, but still, you're there again. The consumer that's doing it is killing it for everybody, and they don't even see it. They're so absorbed in, you know, their issue. You know, brother, I understand. You know, it's horrible to have somebody get injured or worse, but you have to look at the big picture. You know, that individual chose to get on that machine, and if it's a underage person, it's the responsibility of the adult. You gave them the toy to play with. You know, it's fast.
Yeah.
It's motorized. Injuries happen. You know, bad things happen. It's not the fault of the Arizona state or the manufacturer. And we're beating a dead horse on that, because I don't think that we're going to. I don't think we're going to have a 100% resolve. That's a great idea, getting the industry leaders together to do something like that. Another problem that you have is most of the industry leaders are so busy right now that they're working 7 days a week, you know, 10 to 15 hours a day, every day, to keep up with the amount of work. And most of those people are gray hairs because there's no youth behind us filling in to these industries. There's no young people that are wanting to work as hard as it takes to learn, there is not a school out there that will teach you what I do. It's just not there. There are schools out there that
Start
teach
one.
you basics, but they're teaching you in a school environment, just like college. You can go to business college all you want. It doesn't teach you real world. When you step out of college, you have no idea how to run a business because the professors that are teaching it never ran a business. They're teaching theory.
You're talking to somebody who is a director of a program out of college, sir.
And I believe you teach real world environment because you're in the real world environment. But I'm talking about the majority of college professors, okay, in different environments. And I've talked to business people that went to school for business, and this isn't what I learned in school. Nothing I learned in school is helping me.
Chat, same thing. You just need to get that degree behind your name, I guess, sometimes with certain industries. I don't want to get into that, but I will say that if you guys wanted to do I've told you for years, you should start a school to teach people how to do what you do. And I think it would flourish and do well. And that's a question we can pose to the people. If you started a school and you had, if it was $500 to come for a weekend, you need 10 people to do it to get the stuff right. Why wouldn't you do it? You can focus on different things, front end setup, shocks, tuning, whatever it is, and you can teach people. I wasn't given the opportunity as a kid, and that's another conversation for another time. I was, but I wasn't. I pretty much got told as a young man that I needed to find a different path because, that's just what I was told. I love the industry. I can do a little bit, but not a ton. And, I can help you, whatever, we've done a lot of really cool stuff and had a lot of really cool experiences. I think that the misconception is right now in the United States is that everybody does have to go to college and get a degree. And I think that that's going to affect us in the long run, not just with the ATV industry, dirt bike industry, but, manufacturing and all these other places. I can't even get somebody to come give me a quote to pour some concrete at my house because they're all too busy and they don't have enough workers, and that's everywhere right now. There's 975,000 open jobs in construction right now, from laborers all the way up, and they're not getting filled. It's just increasing and increasing and increasing. And I'm not 100% sure on that number. That's the last number that I saw was roughly around there. But you're also not having the gray hairs, is what you call them, the older generation being able to connect on the same level with the younger generation and being able to communicate with this younger generation. And I think that starts with the older generation and the younger generation coming together to be able to communicate and have an open mind. And I think that it's going to take the older generation, speaking from experience, extending that hand and extending that offer for the younger generation to step up and step into those positions. And there's some stubbornness on both sides. I'm not saying that. I just think that you're going to have to extend your hand to those other people. And if you don't, then it's going to be lost.
I'm gonna refrain from answering how I really want to answer, because this is probably children will listen to this. But when you take uneducated people with no skill set and no ability to communicate and no desire to work, it's damn near impossible to talk to them, because you're 16 to 25-year-olds in this country are more like 13 and 12-year-olds of before, because they're not maturing.
Okay, let's not talk about that. Let me just say this, okay? You take Idaho Falls right here where I'm at, okay? There's new shops popping up everywhere that can work on dirt bikes and quads and stuff. And it's these young kids that have no idea what they're doing.
and they're just trying to figure it out, but they have a passion for the sport. Okay. They work hard. They're not working hard. They're just uneducated in the sport and in the industry. If you had somebody like yourself or somebody like Uncle Lauren or any of these other gentlemen who are highly skilled and highly advanced in this field, and they offered a school to teach these kids unbiasedly, no matter what form of performance parts they want to run, and they taught these kids how to do it, you would see them grow and want to learn. There is a huge following in this industry of good, hardworking people. You cannot tell me that that is not the truth. Look at Leon, okay? Young gentleman working his butt off to make a living for his kids, okay, and for his
30s.
and his family. And yeah, he is my age, 100%. But you have him who came into the industry as a young man, and he has worked his ass off to get where he's at. And you have other people like that that don't have the means to be able to do it. Okay. But if you guys had a mentorship program and had a program that you guys could stay and focus with online, like your ATV talk, and you had open forums for them to be able to come and ask you questions like that, I bet you would see a big response. If you offered a school with somebody like Leon, you and him went and you rented a facility and you taught people how to work on bikes, I bet you would have a lot of people who would come and do that, because there is a lot of passion for this industry. The problem is that the passion is not channeled properly, and that starts with the leadership again, you guys up on the top. And if you guys channeled that passion for the industry into something constructive and offered stuff like this and offered a way in for people, you would see it grow and flourish. But right now, the industry is super closed and doesn't let people in because they're scared that somebody's going to go open a shop next to them or become a competitor. And I think that competition is what helps grow the sport. It doesn't close the sport. And I think that if you guys did offer every other industry, electricians, plumbers, all these places offer apprenticeship. If you guys offered an apprenticeship program, you would see it grow, and you would have people come in who are passionate about the sport.
You also look at the wage that this industry can pay versus the industries like electricians and these other forms that pay. We're not even on the same pay scale. So
that's why you have to have somebody who has passion for it.
Right.
Like yourself, like Leon, like all these other people. You need somebody like Ryan Cox. No, you need somebody like Ryan Cox, a young man who came in, who had a passion for it, who made something of himself. He's one of the best engine builders in the industry now. Okay. Yeah, he does dirt bikes. He's super brilliant. Yeah, you have people like that within the industry that are willing to do it, and you have them. They're smart enough. They're capable enough. You have to be able to take them and mentor them and put them in the position to improve the next generation. We don't want to maintain status quo. We want to keep elevating the industry. And I think that starts at the top. You have to take those and mentor those people and make them into what they need to be to improve the future. They have different skill sets. They may not have the same skill set or work the same as you, but that's where you need to be able to, okay, I have this guy right here who's really good with computers. Let me get him over here so he can work on tuning. This guy's really good with engines and calculations and math. Let me put him over here to do engines. This guy's really good with suspension setup. Let me put him over here. You have to be able to look and navigate those people from a leadership role to put them in the position that they need to be to grow and help grow the industry.
I'm not going to disagree with some of the things that you say. I just, from my personal experience, I haven't seen a young person with passion that wants to learn in a long while, especially in my vicinity. Maybe some of the young people that I've spoken to or speak to because of ATV Talk across the country, there are passion for, but in my little region that I'm in right now, I don't see it. There's nobody.
That's why you got to have a school.
There's nobody grasping it, dude. I give information daily to people.
Giving them information and showing them how to do it are two different things. you can talk and talk and talk and talk and talk them through it. But until a lot of people don't learn through audible learning, they learn through doing or repeating the same step over and over again, or physically doing it themselves. Talking on the phone is not the same as having a school, having somebody come forward and be able to physically touch the bike. You can take a school and you can take a 250R, okay, and a new 450R, and you can do schools on just those two bikes and teach a lot of people a lot of things. And there's such a big enthusiasm, and there's so much enthusiasm about, I'm probably saying that wrong, whatever, about the 250R. You could start there and have a class and teach the guys how to do that. And I bet you it would fill up super quick. You open 10 spots, $500 a pop. Okay. You're not going to really make money off of it, because you got to have the bike, have the shop, have the tools, everything where you need it. But I bet you it would fill up. And if you offered a school like that, I guarantee you it would fill up you can do it for each model.
Well, that's something that we'll have to talk about off the air. This is not at all where I wanted this conversation to go, but I understand. Education is key. Education is key to everything, and educating the youth in the industry and educating the fathers that build the machines for these youth riders is key as well. Yeah, we need to get away from the mindset that it's just an ATV, or it's just this, or it's just that, and get into, there is a whole trade here that needs better education and better involvement in that department so that it does grow. I don't disagree with you at all, Danny, there in that aspect. How to get there, we may differ a little bit. You're in the education department and you see some of the pitfalls that deter me from doing what you want and what you've said, with some of the people, some of the youth that you've had to deal with, and the conversations that we've had off the record, that, man, I'm not wanting to deal with that form of human.
I think it's a little different though. I'm more in a classroom setting, and my students have been pretty good. I can't complain. I think when I first started out, I had some growing pains, because I grew up where, you have to put in a crap ton of work. And it's not that this younger generation doesn't want to do the work. You just have to coach them to find what they need to do for the work. So it fell on me, not necessarily the student. As I learn and reflect on the past, I didn't coach them well enough to feel accomplished and to be where they needed to be. I don't put the blame on the student. I think that if you had a school or had this younger generation, I think that you have to get people who are passionate about it. And I think that that's different. There's a passion for this sport and for this industry, and you can do dirt bikes as well. And there's a passion for that as well. Respiratory, there is a passion for it and passion for helping people. You just have to take and construct it around that. And it's a little bit different. And sometimes the generational gap is a little different. The younger generation learns differently than the way I learn. So I have to read, write it down, read, write it down, read, write it down. They don't necessarily learn that way. And it took me a while to figure that out. And so I have changed my teaching, and my instructional abilities have improved. And that has changed the dynamic when it comes to with students. And I think that the thing with younger generation is they want to know why it applies to them. And if they can't figure out why it applies to them or why they need to know something, then they question it. And that's the biggest thing is they want to know why they need to know something. So it's not that they don't want to learn. They just expect you to know more and expect you to know everything. And sometimes when you don't know exactly why, or you don't answer it to satisfy their need, you need to try and figure out how to. It's not that they don't want to learn. It's not that they're not willing to learn. They just don't necessarily understand it the way you're explaining it. And you need to figure out how to explain it to them better or differently. And that's something that I'm still learning, and I will still learn from today on forward. And I think that when it comes to the ATVs or dirt bikes or anything, it's going to be more hands-on. And that's where a lot of people learn, is hands-on. So you can do lectures for people and have them physically doing it at the same time. So it's a little bit different. They're going to physically see it. When I lecture, they can't physically see it. They can't always see what's going on. They don't get to touch a patient that has the disease process that I'm talking about, or is on the mode of ventilation that I'm talking about. Like, I don't have that in the classroom. They're present. So it's hard for them to be able to recognize it because they can't physically see it. When you are teaching them about dirt bikes or quads or UTVs, suspension, camber adjustments, tire pressures, all that stuff, they're going to be able to physically see that. They're going to be able to physically touch it, do it, practice it, and it's different.
In a classroom environment, if you're doing an internet deal or you're doing a phone conversation, it's very difficult to figure out what skill sets an individual has unless they're 100% honest with you, and they talk about what they know how to do, what they don't know how to do, what they understand, what they don't understand. I also come from the background where you're not to question until you have knowledge. But
you have to question to find that knowledge.
You're learning, so this is the way you're going to do it until you understand it.
So you need to change that, because they're trying to question you to fully understand that. And I think that you and I differ on this. They're trying to question so that way they understand for them. You understand it a certain way. Your goal and your object, your point of teaching this person is to teach them. If they're not learning the way you teach it, you need to figure out how they learn so you can teach them that way. And that's something I learned differently than you do, Dad. So that's something where me and you, when I was working for you, we differed. I needed to know why we did this and how we did it, and step by step, to where you're just like, you just need to get it done and this and this and this. I'm also your son, so you expected more from me than I've seen you teach other people and been great with it. You expect me to know more than I ever did. That's not a bad thing. I'm just saying that that's the way it is. You gotta take it from their side. It's not from your side. You got to take your personal beliefs and feelings out of it, and you got to put it to where they're the way they learn, and it's about them and who they are and how they learn, not about you.
I agree and disagree at the same time. So when you're taking your knowledge and you're giving it to someone else, or in a school environment, selling it to them, basically, a portion of them learning is to adapt to what you're teaching them, and a portion of being the teacher is to see the difficulties in where their dams are, and working around them. It's not just solely on the teacher to fix this. You are looking at individuals that have been given a free pass their whole life with no adversity, and you need to get them rolling to where they need to understand that they have to come 50% of the way, in some cases 75% of the way, because they need the knowledge. Okay.
And it's your job to tell them, and in a way that they understand.
But they also need to understand what they've been taught and how they've been taught to get the knowledge is wrong.
It's different. It's not necessarily wrong. It's just
wrong.
Different.
It's wrong. It's wrong, Danny. This is where we're going to differ 100%. And I don't want to get into this discussion on here like this, because it gets into a whole different area that I don't want to talk about. We got a couple minutes more. I told you, thank you very much for your input with that, though. I understand where you come from. I'm not trying to tell everybody that I'm what's the word I'm looking for?
Disagreeing.
I disagree, but I don't disagree. I appreciate the fact that you put that out there. And I know that it's difficult in some respects to do that. We do have differences in the way we do things. And as you became a man, I've had to understand that you are a man and that you've grown into a man and learned how to do things your way. And whether I agree or disagree, I have to be proud to where you've evolved to. And the reason you aren't in the ATV industry is because look at where you're at now. You have 3 children. You have a great career. You're advanced. You'd still be behind and in my shadow and your uncle's shadow if you were in this world.
I don't disagree.
You wouldn't have evolved. You would not
Yeah.
have evolved. And that's why you were sent a different path. So that being said, in the pre-layout of the deal, I'm going to let you talk about this because you follow it more than I do. A little bit of outdoor motocross information that's going on out there. You know, the silly season's approaching with rider changes, and there's been some injuries, and you know, I'm hearing from people that I don't think have the proper information that Jet Lawrence isn't as fast as I think he is. So I'm going to let you talk about it and go from there.
Okay, so he's won every moto, and he has chased people down to win those motos. He's had bad starts, but some of the times he's just whole shots and runs away. We've had a couple weeks off, and we have another week or 2 off, I think, before the next round. I don't see him losing a moto. I just don't. Sexton is not to his level yet. I don't think it was because of injury or time off the bike. I just don't think he's to that level. Lawrence is the real deal. He really is that fast. Nobody's been able to come close to him. I think he toys with Sexton and then pulls away at the end, personally. He is that good. Whether that translates to Supercross, I don't know. I think that Sexton is close, but not close enough. And there's nobody else to really challenge him right now. I like Plessinger. He's cool. He's a good guy. We've talked about him. I really like him as a person and as a rider, and I think that he's a good rider. Frenchie, I call him Frenchie. Wow, I cannot think of it. Dylan Ferrandez, he's decent, but he's still not to the level of Jet Lawrence either.
Let me ask you a question about that. Do you think that he won? He just hit us at a low point when he won? Was it just a fluke?
No. I think that he is fast. I think that he is a pretty good rider. I don't want to take anything from him. I think he's a dirty rider personally. Growing up with Christian Craig, you know, I have kind of a soft spot in my heart for him. I want to see him do good. A local San Diego boy that, you know, I raced BMX against, that I, you know, grew up riding with a little bit and grew up across the street from us. So, and Mike Craig, you know, Mike Craig, and so I want to see him do good. And when he took out Christian Craig the couple times that he did, a couple of them in dirty fashions and completely out of line, I think that I lost all respect for him. And so I'm not the person to ask that question because I don't respect the man. And respect is a huge thing for me, as you know. And if I cannot respect you, I cannot give you a fair shake. And when it comes to this industry, so I can't say that. And with that being said, I think that he did legitimately win. He did. Cooper Webb went to Yamaha now, so Ferrandis doesn't have a ride next year. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. Jason Anderson's still coming back from injury. He's got a new baby at home. Is his head really in it? You know, I don't know. They're having problems with the bike. I think setup is a big thing for them. I think that's why you saw Tomac leave Kawasaki. Not knocking Kawasaki. I just think that they need to change up a few things and change a few key personnel, and they'll see the success that they will in the future. I believe Ryan Cox is there now.
Yep.
And I think that that's going to help them and propel them into the next step. And I don't know. I just think that this summer there's no one out there that can touch Jet. And Hunter Lawrence has came back. He had a bike failure. He had an engine failure. It's unclear whether or not. Yeah, he also had a crash, but it's unclear if I think a radiator line broke, or I don't know, something with the radiator is what I heard or read, or that could just be the story that they're saying. Rock through the radiator or whatever it was. I think that he is the real deal as well. He came back. He had a DNF for the engine blowing. He crashed, and yet he's still in the points lead, and there's no one close to him. I guess you can say Deegan's close, but not really. He's put the smack down on Deegan the last couple of rounds, and you're just seeing the industry change, and the new era is coming up. And I think you're going to see a good push in the Supercross series from Eli Tomac and Cooper Webb, but Jet is the future, and Jet is the future. Hayden Deegan's the future. Hunter Lawrence is the future. Those are the three guys that we're going to be talking about for the industry for a long time. I'm hoping Adam Cianciarillo can come back, but I don't know if he can. Austin Faulkner's been hurt too much. I don't know if he can come back and do it. Joe Shimoda's really good. I'm excited to see what he does next year. He's switching from Cowie, I believe, to Honda, and that should be a good transition for him. He'll do really good. He's a good rider. I think we're seeing the new era come up.
You really think Tomac's going to run with Jet?
Yes. I think he's going to beat Jet.
Not going to happen, dude.
Yeah, yes.
Tomac will be lucky to see Tomac finish the year.
Nope. Tomac's going to win the title next year. Him or Webb. Him or Webb are going to win the title.
Not going to happen, brother. They're not.
Yeah, 100% they are.
You're talking Supercross?
Yeah.
Not
Supercross. Yes, it will.
But
Mark my words.
Okay. Well, we'll flag this episode because we have this bet. We'll know what May next year. Who's right?
I will be.
Is that when Supercross final is? Is in May?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll know May next year.
April, May.
Danny, I know that we got a little off target on some of our conversation. I appreciate your input. I really do. Anybody that listens has to understand that Danny is an educator. He's works at a college and works in a hospital. He does both of these things at the same time. And his path was not chosen for him. He chose that path after some different directions in his life. And I love working with my son and having him be a part of it. And it's just that we didn't see his future in the motorsports industry or the ATV industry like he did. His passion really pushed him, and that we would have slowly weaned that out of him because of progression. There wasn't enough room for another in our little world. And I think you made a better choice, or you're making the best of a better choice and direction in your life. So, but
yeah, I chose the military.
As far as teaching people, I'm all for it. I think that in the right environment, I'm a better teacher sometimes than I am not. But I got to be in that environment. When I have 7 jobs sitting there that I have to work on, and projects that I'm building things, that's not the environment to teach people. That's I'm there to work and I don't have time. So that being said, we're going to have a show next Sunday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You'll be able to catch us. We'll have the final round of Loretta's or the ATV MX to talk about. None of the other series, to my knowledge, start until September. So we won't be back on the cross country and the Works series. I know that Works has a scheduling change. I don't know why that is. There's no information on there, but there has been a move of a race. I'm sure something's gone on with that, but we'll have to look into that and see what's going on later on down the road. In the comments, please ask questions about the show today, and we'll do our best to come back and answer them for you next week. Danny, anything in closing?
No, thank you. And if you guys are interested in, getting together a school, please reach out for that too, because we would love to see the interest in that. So that way I can help convince my dad to do this.
You just
I think it'd be good for everybody.
Adding to my workload, brother. Adding to my workload.
All right. Love you, sir.
All right. Love you, Danny. You have a great one. Thank you again for being on the show. Remember, check out all of our other platforms with your audio podcasts on Tuesdays at 5:00. We do a live on Instagram at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Wednesdays. And then you can always check our YouTube on Friday for the weekly episode, and then the morning show on Sunday. So, pardon?
And the race reports.
Well, the race reports also come out on Fridays. We do the Instagram lives, the pre-race on Fridays, and then the following Friday we post on YouTube the audio or the taped version of that. So please catch us on all those shows. And if you have any insight for us, please reach out. We will do everything in our power to answer your questions and get your input out there. Have a great day, everybody. We'll talk to you later.